Hello everyone, my name is DeathTech, and I am going to be doing a series on Evochron Legacy, because it is a relatively hard game to get into, apparently, from what I've heard. So, I'm just gonna do this series to explain things about the game so newer players can learn very easily how to get into the game and get stuff done. Let's start off here. This is the main screen for people who have played Mercenary. It'll be very familiar. This is the pilot screen. You can have like 100 pilots. I wanted to say pirates there. I don't know why. Right, so let's start off with creating a new pilot, which we need to do before we can actually start the game. It's like a profile-based thing anyway. So let's just go DT here. You can pick some starting roles, very basic, classy stuff. That makes sense. You can choose which faction you want to be. It's going to be important in some way for the single player, whether you're Alliance or Federation. In the single player, you cannot change it, but in multiplayer, you'll be able to change willy-nilly between Alliance and Federation. And these three little options here are... they basically manage whether the universe kind of dynamically changes on its own, or whether only you can affect them. Because if you turn these off, only you can affect the entirety of the game's market system. And if they're all on like this, there'll be random fluctuations and changes and whatnot, and the game will simulate stuff. Let's create this pilot and get moving. Alrighty. So now we can click this pilot. We can double click to launch the pirate. I don't know why I want to say pirate. You can double click to launch the pilot, and you can click load pilot here. Otherwise, it's up to you. I'm going to double click. Prefer double clicking. Alright, so here we're in the menu screen. As you can see, there is a training for flight and combat and stuff. We're not going to be doing that. We're just going to plunge into the game. For those who want to play multiplayer, there's a window over here, and I'm just going to ignore that. I'm just going to ignore that. That's for later. So to the left, we've got the training. We've got launch, which will send us into the single player. Pilot manager, which will send us back to picking a profile. Options for your game settings, and exit. And I'm going to go through options first before actually launching the game, because there are so many. Because you actually need to learn your keys or you're not going to be able to fly around. Right, so as you can see, I've plopped textures and stuff down. Why is this not on low? I've plopped everything down a bit because I normally host a server on the side. I usually play multiplayer hosting a server for my friends, and we all play on the same server, so you know, everything's on low and icky on my screen. Alright, so here we've got the first configuration thing. You can choose whether you want to use your keyboard or you want to turn with the mouse, or many other different variations, including using a joystick or gamepad like a Xbox 360 controller, I guess. That's up to you. You need to set that up here before you start playing the game, or you're going to think, oh well, this is just how the game works. You can have 3D head tracking, though not many people have that kind of hardware. And locking the mouse. I'm not sure what they mean by that, but even if the mouse was locked, you can always use Alt to free it up again. So if you use mouse point like I do, you have to hold down Alt to click on other places on the screen whilst flying. So down here, got the main settings, which is this menu. The axis configuration, which is for controllers. I don't need to be in here. It's basically the same stuff, but using these axes. And we've got the HUD configurator over here, in which you can change the way the HUD looks, which is very nice. And the key buttons. And for those using a keyboard, May God have mercy on your soul. There are a lot of them. I will point out that I have an AZERTY keyboard, so for you people, all other people in the universe using QWERTY, just remember the A and Q and the W and Z are switched for me. Right, anyway. The main things we need to pay attention to are these roll left and right are important. Strafing keys are very important over here. So I'd say left and right are more important than X and Z if you're using a mouse point like I will. The tab key is important. It'll do your afterburner. Space will turn on and off inertial dampening, which means you can basically turn off that the ship maintains your current speed and auto slows down with stuff, or auto speeds up if you get slowed. And if you turn inertial dampening off, you can kind of like thrust in any direction, and then you'll just keep on going, which is really cool. The main reason why that's very interesting as well is because the inertial dampening, if you turn it off, and you use your afterburner, you can continuously speed up to just any speed you want, like it would in real life. Which is nice. The match target speed might be interesting if you play with friends or play with some AI. It's pretty cool. Throttle up and down, very important. Like I said again, W and Z for me are generally different. Though interestingly enough, for my setup here, it says W, even though it should be saying Z, which I guess I have to applaud the creator of the game for auto-swapping that. Thank you. And there's inertial forward and reverse. These are only important if you are going to be playing a lot with the inertial dampening system being turned off, because it'll allow you to do small bursts forward and backwards, rather than using your afterburner all the time. Weapons and stuff. Very simple, usual system. Left mouse button is firing your primary cannons. Right mouse is missiles. And you've got, well, the whole list of Shazam. I'm not really going to go through, just the important ones. So we're going to skip a couple. We have Countermeasures, C, very important if you get fired at with missiles. What else have we got? The augmenting of shields. You can augment and send power from your shields throughout everything using 5 to equalize to all sides, or these different directional. Well, on your numpad, the arrows basically are the directional shielding buttons, which is nice. Nothing else super important here. B for mining, if you're going to be doing mining. And then the next most important things are F1, F2, F3, and F4, which allow you to do basically most of the game will be those buttons. So you might want to rebind them to something more comfortable than the F keys, or you could keep them there. So the navigation console allows jumping and basically shows you the map. F2 is for when you're building a station or other things. F3 shows you your inventory when you are not docked in a station. That might be handy if you're trying to jettison some illegal goods. And F4 for ship to ship, so you can trade and talk and interact with other ships. Other than that, most of these are really not too important. Not even these ones, the throttle ones. Nope. And F11 is really good for planets because it's night vision. Gotta keep that in mind. I think we are done going through all of these. Alright, so that is the key bindings. Now, of course, if I just tell you key bindings, is that going to help you very much? No, not really. So let's go into space and fly around a little bit. So we're going to launch a game now. And you're gonna see some cool shit. This is the startup sequence for any time you enter the game. It is basically you being launched out of a hangar. So cool. It is a little bit tedium though, because, well, you kind of gotta watch it go through this, but it's more interactive than a loading screen, so I'm okay with that. You see my frame rate tank as the game is desperately trying to load all of its components. You know, I gotta say, this game is really impressive for being only a couple, I think 300 megabytes. And it's got more functionality than Elite Dangerous, which was like several gigabytes. I applaud the creator of this game. It is just beautiful. It is basically everything I wanted from Elite Dangerous without having to pay another copy of Elite Dangerous to get the expansion pack for planets of Elite Dangerous. So let's all say collectively, fuck Elite Dangerous. They can shove it up their butt. Fuck that game. It is so sad. If for anyone who spent money on that, you could have just bought this game. This game is what, £17? If you're in the UK, I don't know what it is in dollars, but shit, son, it's cheap. In comparison, it's much better. Okay. Alrighty. So for now, I'm not going to explain what any of this is. I am just going to fly around a little bit and just kind of show the flight. So as I'm doing buttons, I'm probably going to edit it in, what buttons I'm pressing. So now, of course, I used W to go forward. I've engaged my thrusters. But because I'm using the mouse look, I can still... Oh god, that's so bright. Because I'm still using the mouse look, I can still turn my ship, as you can see. So you don't really need the WAS, you just need forward in order to actually be able to move around. This is using the mouse point look. Oh, it's beautiful. Alright, so we can slow down if we use S, which will completely kill our speed. Which is fine. If we keep holding it down, we actually go backwards a little bit. We can use, this is D, and we've got A or Q for some people. From left to right. It's actually better if I look over here so you can properly see that I am moving. Alright. We've got rolling, which is E, and then A or Q again, depending on what we've got going on. I also want to point out, right control is auto-leveling your ship, so if you're like upside down and you're not sure, just hold down right control and it'll level the shit out of itself. Which is very, very handy. Alright, so now that we can kind of move about, that's handy. You can also use X to go upwards directly and kind of, you know, maneuver up. And there's of course W or Z for some people dependent, that'll send you downwards, which is also equally cool. Alright, so this is just a little bit of a simple flying around. You've got left mouse button to fire basic cannons, which is okay. You've got auto locking if you look at something. Like, okay, let's look at that destroyer over here. I don't know if it'll auto lock, but I'll try. I don't think it will auto lock because this is single player and it knows I'm not supposed to be wanting to shoot them. I think. Never mind. Alright, so I'm just gonna quickly show, I'm gonna quickly display the inertial dampening. Now, as you can see, I've turned it off. You can see the bottom left under IDS. And let's just see what happens if I thrust upwards. As you can see on my FVL, or I think it's called forward velocity, but it's not really. Forward velocity is just velocity total. As you can see, just carries on growing until I stop thrusting. And then you can turn IDS back on to slow down automatically your target speed, which is kind of okay. Now with this, you should be able to move around temporarily. Now we're going to go over one more small thing that will allow you to kind of explore on your own and figure things out for yourself, or continue watching this video tutorial series. And that is the navigation menu, which is F1. Alright, so there's a lot to go over really quick. I'm going to skimp this and then I'm going to make a proper video about it afterwards. So what this is the little tab up here to the left. You can always go between all these menus, by the way, clicking here. This is navigation menu. To the left up here, we've got our own current position, which is the current position inside the quadrant, I think, as well as, yeah, the local sector location where I am. And here we have the destination position. Right now there's nothing there, but if I put a waypoint down, like over here, you can see it'll shift. So you can put a waypoint down, and then over here you can jump to that waypoint if you wanted to. To the left we have the waypoints. This will allow you to do things like autopiloting towards the waypoint I just set, which you can click on again to turn off. You can ping a location, I think. No, it shows a ping on the map. Forgot which one that is. There's map log, which is, well, it does things. Not sure what, to be honest. There's add to log, which I think if you click add to log, it'll add it to the map log. Let's try here. Testy muck lol. So as you can see now, it's in the map log now. So I think you can click that and then target it or something. Let's check that out right quick. Yeah, it auto targets it. So that's handy for making common nav points that you want to jump to. Set location is set the navigation destination to where you are. There's the local points, which is kind of nice. I went into it way too much. Just gonna skimp over it. Local points. If you have points of interest, you click on it, it sets the nav point there. Map controls quickly controls these map pointers like so, turning to X and Y and Z instead of whatever it is originally from top and rear. So you can, select height and area, which is okay. We've got the map modes, which allow you to turn on text and single out planets and stuff like that, as well as the global map, which is very useful. I'll go over that later. There's these options are for if you are somewhere in the map. Let's say you're still in here. This is quite a big area, as you can see. You can click center to center on where you are on this big map, which is always handy. And transpose isn't really useful in single player, but it transmits your position on a multiplayer server so people can set a nav point to where you are. Basically for rescue situations. If you run out of fuel. By the way, fuel down here. Alright, that's a quick introduction to Evochron Legacy. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. Evochron. Alright, well that's a quick introduction. I will explain other things in more detail soon. I think the next video is going to be the heads-up display, and then we'll move on to navigation, the other menus, and the station, obviously. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching. Please comment, rate, subscribe if you feel like it, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye for now.